We are live. Look at you, ready. Hey, hey, hey.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Why is we here?
Because it's Tuesday.
32sDays.
32sDays.
Oh, you know what? We need the great Radar Ellis to make us a little sound for that for 32sDays. It just sounds like bottles popping open. Yeah.
I could probably like pull. Yeah, I was gonna say I could probably just like pull one off of
on your mixer,
YouTube or something.
Do some sound design for us.
It's like,
oh, you're so good at that. Do it again. I love sounds. Anyway, hi.
Happy Tuesday.
Here. Happy effing Tuesday. Happy Valentine's Day Eve to those who celebrate.
Happy Valentine's Day Eve, yes.
Shout out to our friend Joey. Happy birthday, Eve.
Happy birthday, Eve, Joey.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend Mulva. Happy birthday, Eve, you.
Happy birthday, Eve, Mulva.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Your braids look really good, actually, by the way. I haven't seen them since you did them, really.
Thank you.
It's a love fest.
Yours look really great, too.
Thank you. I laid my edges.
I see.
I don't know if it'll last, but, you know. Yeah. So, we're going to be joined by a special guest, but I think she's running a...
There it is.
Okay, great.
Hilarious.
Hi!
Twinsies!
Hey! Hi!
Welcome, Ayla, to 32sDays.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're very excited to have you here.
Garvey on his best behavior so far?
Like Romeo, he has been exiled to Mantua.
I am forever going to be haunted by the things I saw last night. Forever.
I had my very first poop blowout. Not myself.
You're going to say yours personally? What did you eat?
No, the night of the Grammys, I was in LA with some friends, and they went out to a party, and I was hanging out there with a younger sister who was babysitting, and then like another friend. Tanya, you probably know. Well, you both probably know Sean the trumpet. You know.
Sean Eric.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean was over, and we were hanging out, and then Petra's younger sister was babysitting. It took all three of us to deal with this poop. Like all three of us, it was not traumatic, but it was incredible how much work and concentration was required to deal with the situation.
No, you need 3 adults per kid. Like this period. Like, I don't know how, like, the nuclear family is a lie. You need 3 adults.
Yeah,
per
you need
child.
an intergenerational house.
Yeah. There need to be at least 3 people above the age of 14 for each child under 10.
This child pooped up to his shoulders.
One time Garvey only pooped up his front.
I don't understand, but I think that there's a logical explanation. There is no explanation.
I don't understand the physics of it.
I was just about to say physics. Yikes.
Mm-hmm. He came out to living room and I was like, what's that on his stomach? Yeah. So anyway.
This reminds me that I want to talk to you guys about directional things off the live, because I feel like we should normalize that, but not here today. Anyway, yeah. Welcome, Ayla. Welcome to 32sDays. Yes. What are you having?
Cheers. What are you drinking?
Cup? Tea.
What kind of tea?
Oh.
We love tea.
I just made a rooibos and cinnamon tea.
Ooh, that's perfect for this cold evening.
My COVID result is negative.
Thank God. Test again tomorrow, though.
There's some good news.
Yeah.
I am drinking rosé because I love rosé for Valentine's Day, and I'm drinking out of my rosé glass.
Yay!
I'm drinking, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, Guinness from a jar.
I'm into it.
Because it was in my fridge.
I was gonna guess Guinness. I just had a feeling that that's where you were gonna head tonight.
Yeah, I picked it up. I'm usually inspired by Tanya's drinking Guinness because I will normally drink wine, but I had a shot of bourbon, and then I keep doing that today. I don't know, but I'll stop. I had a shot of bourbon, and then it was a little one, and then I had the Guinness because Boilermakers are everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ayla, this is the part where we say how much we love this movie. But first, we ask you, when was the first time you saw Romeo and Juliet?
I think I saw this in theaters.
Ooh.
I am perplexed. After watching it again, I'm like, how did I watch this when I was 10 years old? Like,
oh, shit, my notes.
Go get your notes. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, this movie is wild. It is bananas. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was 10 years old watching this in the movie theater. What did I think? What did I think was happening? I don't know.
You know, I was thinking about it. 96.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't 10.
Yeah, neither was I.
I wasn't 10. I was 8.
Oh.
Yeah. I was older. I was in high school rapping Foxy Brown and Little Kim on the way to the bus stop.
I can't remember when I first saw it. Definitely not when it first came out. Excuse me. And yesterday I was trying to remember. I definitely saw it after I had to read Romeo and Juliet. So, like, you know, it wasn't a big shock ending for me because I started wondering, like, for people who are watching it without having read Romeo and Juliet, or whoever, you know, if you've only ever just heard of it, you just hear of like the star-crossed lovers. You don't know about like the double suicide, you know, because like people are like, oh, you know, there's such a Romeo, or they're a Romeo and Juliet, you know, like heart.
You're like, oh.
It's like, shit, you know how that ends, tragic. Right?
I wanted to put in one of our posts, spoiler alert, they all die.
Everybody dies.
You know? But yeah, I actually don't remember I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I think it was pretty soon after it. I don't think I saw it at the theaters, but if my siblings are watching, they will correct me because they remember things and I don't. But I just remember there being all the hype about this movie, like leading to it coming out, like even like over there where I used to live. There were posters and talk, and people were excited to see Leo, you know, because that's when he was still in his like teen bop heartthrob phase. My microphone is pointing all the way over there. Oops, there we go. And Claire Danes, you know, because she was in My So-Called Life, and this is like this whole thing. Yeah, so I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I knew that I loved it immediately because I love Shakespeare and I loved Romeo and Juliet.
I loved it immediately, especially the soundtrack. The soundtrack is.
Let's talk about that first.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Oh wait, I thought you were gonna buy time so I could pull it up.
I think the soundtrack, like in watching it again, like I'm like, what? I think the soundtrack is the only thing that pulled me in as an 8-year-old.
Maybe. Yeah. There are so many
Who
great
took
songs.
You to see this when you were 8?
That is an excellent question. I just looked because I was curious last night. Like, what was this even rated? It was PG-13.
Yeah.
It was PG-13?
It was PG-13. My parents didn't really
I guess Americans don't care about gun violence.
Yeah, and they don't say bad words because it's Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of drug use, though. I guess that doesn't really matter either. My parents didn't care about PG-13. Like that wasn't really a, you know, I wasn't allowed to go see R movies until I was probably 13, but
you're so strict.
PG-13 wasn't a thing.
No, I definitely didn't see it in the theater. in '96 because in '96 it would have been my dad taking me to the movies, and he wouldn't have taken me to see this. So I had to have seen it when it came to TV.
Oh me.
I just can't remember when. I remember being really into the soundtrack when I was in college. So now I'm like, maybe I didn't see it until I was in college.
Yeah. And like, what's on there? We've got Garbage and Desiree and Love Fool by the Cardigans and, you know, Young Hearts by Kim Mazel. Just there's so many good stuff. So much good stuff. We were looking for a Pretty Piece of Flesh, but I couldn't find it on Instagram to post with our songs. But yeah, so many good songs. I love the soundtrack. And I think that you're right, Ayla. It's like whether, you know, Tanya and I often talk about how music is like the silent character, like especially in Game of Thrones and some of these other things we like. But I think this is a movie where the soundtrack is really, really important. And it's just everything is perfectly curated for what you're seeing. Everything. It just fits. I mean, we can skip ahead and talk about Kissing You because, like, the
I love
moment that he
song so
washes his
much.
face and hears the strains of the song, it's just like,
I love that song so much. Every time I hear it and every time I see that scene, I'm like, oh, love. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is going to end with her blowing her brains out.
you know,
It's like really crazy when you think of the timeline of it too. Like if you want to just talk about the actual plot of Romeo and Juliet, like they've known each other for less than 3 days. It's only been like one full day.
Yeah. And, you know, and this is like, he went to the party because he wanted to see Rosalind.
Right. Who he was moping over and obsessed with.
It's so funny. I don't think I ever I knew that he was moping over Rosalind like in the beginning and stuff, but I don't think it ever clicked until last night when I was watching it again that the only reason he went to the party was because he thought that she was going to be there, you know? And because Benvolio's like, nah, there's other girls there. Like, it's going to be fine. Let me show you all these women who are like better than her. He's like, well, she's going to be there. Of course I'll go. And I think I missed that.
I wish we could have seen Rosalind.
Me too. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Do you know that there's a movie called Rosalind told from her perspective?
I would watch that.
I discovered it the other day when I was.
I know she was like, "Oh, that crazy motherfucker!
Leave me alone."
She's reading about it in the news. Like, knew he was fucking crazy.
Dodged a bullet there. Yeah, it's so crazy to just go with him and just like he's in the beginning. It's just like all these things are happening, and I think my favorite. Well, I should back up. One of my favorite things about this movie is because I saw like the older. No shade to the older ones, but it's very much like Shakespearean 1600s vibes, right? And the way that Baz Luhrmann modernized it was just so fun. It reminds me of when I saw Moulin Rouge and like my aunts who went with me were like, oh my God, is he on drugs? I'm like, this was fucking great. What do you mean? But yeah, the way that he made it modern, just like even from the very beginning where they're doing the prologue in a little TV, you know? Because it's not often that you see a Shakespeare piece like, you know, reframed where they're using the actual text where people are delivering it and performing it so fluently when they do a modern take on it. Like usually it's like halting and just like that. But everybody, well, no, almost everybody, because I have notes, did a really great performance.
I particularly like the way they renamed the guns to make them different kinds of swords. Like I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I also loved Tybalt.
Tybalt.
Just everything about his costuming, like his styling. Like I loved Tybalt so much.
He was my favorite character when I was 8. I do remember that.
The Prince of Cats. I love it. Yeah.
No,
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I remember when I was a kid, I didn't have all these questions about like watching it this time. I was like, where are we? Like trying to answer questions about setting, like theme, like what year is it? Where? I mean, I know Verona Beach, but like it was. I mean, it's a fictionalized setting.
Yeah.
And there were so many, I don't know, I had a difficult time watching it as an adult and suspending my belief for the full time. And I know like it's Shakespeare, you're not really supposed to, but it was I don't know. Like there were these modern elements, like for instance, when he like snuck into the Capulet mansion and then they jumped in the pool together, or he fell in the pool and she jumped in. Like, and then you see the security guards like monitors, and you're like, wait a minute, how do they not see?
Like, how did they know those blind spots?
Yeah,
Maybe she knows them, but like, yeah, there's stuff like that.
yeah. It was. I don't know. I mean, not that it didn't take me out of it too much, but it was just like watching this movie and then remembering that it came out in 1996 was like, this is wild for 96.
I was
Yeah.
thinking to myself, man, imagine like if they'd simply had phones.
Dude, like how frustrating is the delivery scene?
Oh, of the note.
Of the note
Yeah.
from the priest, just like he was right there and then he drove past you and his windows are all dirty so he couldn't see him, and like the thing blew off, and I was just like, oh, so much angst.
And then what's his name? Balthazar. Like, why couldn't he have passed the message to Balthazar specifically instead of sending a messenger?
Yeah, like that's his dude. That's his
And
man
also,
servant.
what a shit plan.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't you think like for something so important that you would hand deliver it and not entrust this to like some messenger?
USPS.
I'm also so interested to know more about where he was banished to. Like,
Oh, there's Mantua, the trailer
Mantua.
park.
Mhm.
Mantua.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's so I like seeing it because like, you know, he's being dramatic and he's like, to be exiled is death and this and this and that, because he's, you know, out in the boondocks with just trailers and dust, and like, you know, he's basically in Mad Max world. But I think that when you with Shakespeare, but with a lot of punishments, that exile was the fate worse than death, because you're literally cut off from everything and everybody you know, and you're not allowed to come back, and you know, and if you do, they'll kill you. So some people will not be good at like making this new life without all these things. Because like on one second he's like at a mansion at a party, and the next one he's like just out in the dust,
Hitting rocks with a stick.
hitting rocks
In the dust.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a ringleader essentially, or the son of the ringleader.
Yeah, let's talk about ancient beef. So go ahead, Alec. I'm like,
no, I was just gonna say I thought it was so interesting that because the party was at the Capulet mansion, like so it was so interesting that like with all of this beef that like the rivals would actually go to the party.
They would pull up, right? But it's because like my question is always like, how did Mercutio get the invite? Because like he's not family, he's just a family friend. So
yeah. Mercutio is the nephew or cousin of the prince.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and Rosaline is also a Capulet.
Yeah, in the previews for the, I think it's actually a comedy, but it like shows her like being mad at Juliet, like this was supposed to be my day. It's like very comedic take on it. Well, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and I think one of the since you're bringing it up, one of the scenes that always is like really poignant to me is where Tybalt's being scolded by Mr. Capulet, like, hey, no. He's like, he's in here, he's disrespecting us. And he was like, no, not in my house. I will die if you do this. And you're gonna start trouble in my house. Like, go home and start trouble. Like, bring your trouble there. But no. I was just like, they, you know, these hot-headed kids not understanding the importance of it, because you have to remember they're teenagers, actually, you know. Speaking of being teenagers, actually, how about what's my boy? Paris.
Oh.
And Mr. Capulet insisting over and over again that my daughter is too young to be married. And he's like, oh no, but younger women are made wives happier. And he was like, yeah, and they're marred too.
Made mothers.
Made mothers, yes. And he was like, and they're marred too. And then he's like pressing him again. He's like, hey, he's like, no, I told you that she was too young.
He said, give her 2 years. Let her turn 15.
Wild. Wild. I mean, to be fair, they lived until it was like,
and then it's like, all right, next Thursday.
Because she's so sad. She's so sad. Let's put an end to the sadness with a wedding.
Yes, we'll sell
That's how
her.
you solve
That'll
problems.
cheer her up.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is like I don't think that I understood why the father was angry. I didn't understand why the mother was angry, except that she got hit right in the crossfire. But then I realized like these parents have been wooing this man for you, right? They have gone above and beyond to make sure that you're getting a good husband and that who's got station and promise and ambition and da 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 da. And you're like, no, I don't want to marry him. Which is like, in these days understandable, but like they got you the perfect match. And the mom was like trying so hard, even though initially I read it as she milfing out here, like what's going on, or like cougaring out here with Paris, like. But then I was like, oh no, she's like trying to seal the deal so this girl gets to marry, if not be married happily, to be married rich.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved that Paul Rudd was cast as Paris.
He's so goofy.
He was.
I always wondered if he improv like some of those dance moves, because the way that she laughed when they were dancing.
And there's this moment where like I think it's like the fireworks or something are going off, and he turns on. He's just like, it cracks me up so much
every single time. Every single time.
He's so filled with joy in the play, because I had to go back and like read some of it. In the play, Paris gets killed too.
Mm-hmm.
I had forgotten that. Paris thinks that Romeo is like going to vandalize the crypt and tries to stop him, and Romeo kills him on the way in.
Yeah, I wonder why they took
took that
in the
out.
movie.
That would have been a great plot piece to keep in, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to watch the commentary to find out if they mention it at all.
I bet they do. Oh man, hold on. Let me look at my notes. No. English newspaper, see the city. I guess it's just I like the setup in the beginning, because they're like, listen, you guys have been literally like holding the city hostage with your feud and your violence that like doesn't even make sense anymore in this day and age. And if there's any more trouble, your heads will be had. And you're like, oh, okay. But when you see, like, when you remember that very first encounter between the Montagues and the Capulets, you're like, oh shit, somebody's gonna fuck this up. Like from
like
the
you can't
very,
even get
very
gas
beginning.
in peace. Yeah, because they might shoot up the gas station.
And the thing is like, when you think about like they're talking about the feud or just like other ancient feuds, right? Benvolio, he was like, hey. He's like, this quarrel isn't yours. It's like our man, like my uncle's. This is my uncle's fight. Like, what does this have to do with you two boys who are like hanging out with me and being friends? It literally has nothing to do with you except that you hang out with us,
Do either of you have like a family that you are sworn enemies with?
Yes.
You do?
You first.
Yeah, I can't talk about it. I'll tell you offline. Yeah.
How about you, Ayla?
Wait, were we saying
like a sworn enemy family, like
in real life?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about in the movie, because I was like,
oh no, I meant like, do you in real life?
No, not in real life, but in the movie, I'm Capulet all the way. We're not enemies. It's because
I know the Montagues seemed like more like trashy.
Yeah, like dirty, grungy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's their hangers-ons.
Yeah,
their hangers-ons,
definitely.
Definitely. Their camp followers are trashy. And they're just like, whatever.
Dirt.
I was gonna say, as an adult, I'm like, the opposite. I think I would go for the Montagues, but as a child, I was really drawn to the
It's probably because it's Team Juliet and
I just like Tybalt's shoes and his little skinny cigarettes.
Yeah, and I was so obsessed with that song, the one that we couldn't find on the official.
Oh, the one by Butthole Surfers?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Where he like opens the first line.
So dope. I like your cut, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I didn't see it. I want to see.
Yeah. Very cool.
Cool.
It's a moog. A moog.
All right. I have a Valentine's related, possibly.
Wait. Before you say that, Are you in any IRL feuds?
No. Well, I feel like I'm not in. If it is, it's one sided. Like they're feuding with us. We're not really bothering with them. Lion cares not of the opinions of sheep and all that. So anyway, fun question
Happy
for
Lunar
you.
New Year.
Happy
By the
Lunar New
way.
Year. Fun question for you both. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes, I do.
You do? What about you, Ayla?
do.
I want to hear more from Nikki while I formulate my answer.
The reason I say that is because my parents met at a party and they've been married for 42 years next month. My dad saw my mom from across the room. He went over to her and he was like, "May I have this dance?" He said, "Save a dance for me." And my mom was smoking cigarettes because that's what she did at the time because it was the 80s. And she looked at him and she said, "I'll think about it." And yeah.
So cool. So
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah.
I think I believe in like energetic attractions, like even without like speaking to someone, you know whether or not you're drawn to them.
Mhm.
The sense of it. I don't know about like at first sight. I'm not convinced just yet.
I fell in love at first sight once.
Yeah. I see who's the romantic in the group.
Don't tell anybody. I'll also tell you about that offline. Yeah, I don't want it to be used against me in the future. Don't want to implicate anyone. Yeah. Well, I love love. I love Shakespeare.
See, we're the opposite when it comes to like literary content, though. Not a good love story, and
yeah.
super mushy on the.
I
on
prefer
Not at all.
Yeah, I prefer death and violence in these stories. I do, unless I take that back, unless it's Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and then anything that he says about love, I will go along with because I think that his love stories are so beautiful. And John Donne, which is like he's one of my favorite poets, and his love shit is also off the hook. But as far as like just incorporate like romance for the romance of it, nah, not really. Maybe
I'm
when I
not
was
a
younger.
romantic at all. I think that love is a daily choice.
I agree with that, but I
love is the word.
also, I also think that it's a daily choice, but I also think it's like a necessary, or like it is what makes the darkness of this world like feasible and possible.
Here to that.
Mhm.
Cheers to you both because I love you both. And
I
you make
love
the
you.
world brighter.
Likewise.
Yeah. You know what it is about love is like I love romantic love, but for me, I think that friendship and familial love is like why I like romance. Like I feel like you can have like all my favorite friendships and stuff. It's just like maybe not romantic in the conventional sense, but like me and Tanya fell in love. We sure did about books,
Mhm.
And then Ayla told me that she was a writer, and I fell in love with her too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm romantic.
I think the reason I'm not into like a lot of romance movies, books, and all of that. And I feel like part of it is because so much of it is around like struggle. Excuse me. And I just don't believe that love has to be hard. Like
Me neither.
I just don't. If it's hard, I don't want to do it, And I feel like so many of the things we watch, it's like they have to have like a knockdown, drag out, like say horrible things to each other and then somehow overcome it. And, and I feel like if Nikki and I had an argument where she was calling me terrible names and screaming at me and things, like we would never be friends again. So then why would that be a sign of like passionate love in a romantic partner, you know? And I feel like that's
You
what we're fed so often.
gotta
It's like
fight
you have
for
to
it.
fight. Yeah, you got to get it out the mud. And that's how you know it's real. And I
To the
hate that
disrespect. I'm like,
messaging.
no, if you got to go through the disrespect, then maybe you just shouldn't do it, period.
If it like love doesn't have to hurt, or at least it shouldn't
Yeah.
be a purposeful, intentional hurt. You know, like in my experience of my great love in this life, like it definitely hurt, but not because it was intentional.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. I think love is a very interesting topic, but I do believe that you're, you guys are both onto something, that it's being packaged as like, you only deserve it if you've gone through these things. Like,
Yeah.
no, because I know lots of people who was just like easy, I think when I actually started dating again, I was very shocked when I met somebody. I was very shocked to discover just like how easygoing it all was. And I was like, oh, this is what it could be like. I had no idea.
I will
Yeah.
agree with you on that. When I like when my last relationship like I don't know, I guess like got even I would say past like the whole honeymoon phase, and it was just like wow, like this is just so smooth and so like I don't know, like there's no drama. It's beautiful
Mm.
Yeah.
I wonder
Excuse
if
me.
that
Yeah.
has to do with just getting involved in a serious type of relationship as an older person.
an emotionally mature person.
Yeah.
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 But
Because like go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will say like that I personally grew a lot emotionally through my last relationship. So I mean, I think part of that, not that like I don't know, I agree with you, Tanya, in the sense of like wielding all of this like I don't know words as weapons or whatever. I don't think that that's necessary to be in a great love. Like I think that's just indicative of like
Yeah.
emotional
I feel
immaturity.
like there's this
And
idea
shitty
that you have to,
communication.
yeah, I feel like there's this idea that you have to get over this hard thing, and it's like, it's always fed to us as like something really, I don't know, I can't think of an example right now, but like,
Toxic.
yeah, it's just always so toxic where it's things where it's like, no, I wouldn't forgive you for that because that was horrible,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't know, I end up watching a lot of things like that make me sit there like, y'all, this is what you want? Like, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel good watching this?
Yeah.
Like, you know what movie I love to absolutely shit on? Love and Basketball.
Ugh. Why did we not do that one last year?
Because he was the absolute like most toxic partner.
KAK.
Like he treated her like shit regularly. And it was like all of this fighting to prove her love and then him finally coming around and
Because
like,
she was better than him and he couldn't deal with it.
well, yeah, until she's like, play me for your heart. And he starts dropping buckets on her. It's just like,
Yeah.
that's just an example of one of the movies that like growing up, I watched it and was like, this is a love story? Like,
Yeah.
this
Like
is
this is love. I don't
sad.
want it.
Yeah. I was like, this
Yeah.
seems really awful.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I have to give up, things that I care about to prove that I'm worthy,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's ridiculous, but I think you know what it is? I think it's ridiculous and unrealistic because somehow, sometime, somewhere, we decided, not we, not us, because we would have done better. But it was decided that love only exists within a certain stage and certain age group, right? Like Romeo and Juliet it's angsty and it's like tragic and all these things because this is how teenagers and young people experience that love until like your early 20s. Like everything
When your frontal
is
lobe
just
develops.
so, yeah, right, before that happens, before you can reason properly and have all your faculties. But it's like this is what it feels like when you break up with somebody or when you want somebody, but it's yearning. This is not love, right? Romeo swears that he was in love, and then he's talking to Benvolio when they're playing pool, and he was like, oh, you just didn't get your dick wet? That's what this is about? And you're like, yeah, that's what this is. This is lust. This is not love. And I think not as good as it gets. What's that movie with Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, I think.
Oh, I know
Diane.
the movie you're talking about.
I do
Yeah,
too.
hold on. Something's got to give. Is it Something's Got to Give? Maybe. Well, whatever. A movie with him where they meet as older people and they're just like, oh,
When
this
he's
is
dating her
cool.
daughter.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, he's dating her daughter.
He's
But don't
dating her
worry, she
daughter.
hasn't slept with him yet. It's okay.
Yeah. Hold on. Maybe was it that movie? Maybe it was. But I was just like,
Yeah.
I like this. I like older love movies because it's like it makes sense. It's because you're taking all these things into account. But we've been conditioned, or the stuff that we've been fed is like, oh my God, if you are not pining over it, it is not real. If someone hasn't hurt you and like taken your love away, then it's not real. If you're not like looking at your phone when you've been left on red, it's not real. And it's just like that's not what it is. Yeah.
And that's not
There
to
was-
say I think that like all relationships have to be just like perfect all the time. But
No, they're
like
not.
but like I just feel like we're shown such an extreme where when you go back and like really unpack it, it's like everything we see is just so awful.
Yeah, it's program. It's,
Like
you
the
know, 'cause
worst relationships.
it's love for 13 to 21-year-olds.
I was trying to think of this other movie. It was like an older couple, and they started sleeping together. They were like neighbors. I'm trying to remember the name of it. They started just not having sex, but just snuggling because they, it's easier
Just
to
wanted
sleep.
company.
Yeah, you have a warm body next to you. I can't remember what it is, but then they fell in love and ended up being together.
See,
That's
that
sweet.
kind of stuff I love. Yeah, that's why I love Love in the Time of Cholera, because like he loved her for so long. Okay, maybe she was young for him to love her, and he was a little bit stalkery. I will give you that. Right. And then he said that we should do that book for book club. I love that book so much. Then he was like, I remained a virgin, but he remained like a spiritual virgin, not an actual virgin. But then her husband died and he was like, I've been waiting for you my whole life. And she's like, ew, no. But then they fell in love and it was beautiful.
I haven't read that in a really long time.
It's
Also, I sleep way better by myself.
So do I.
Oh man, I'm on the outs with you guys.
Yeah. Oh man, I sleep so good. I was like looking to
do.
see if he was still in the room before I admitted that. He doesn't watch our videos, don't worry.
It's good. I sleep better because I'm always super self-conscious about snoring because I snore like bad. So
I
don't
just
have to
don't like anything touching me. Like I basically build a pillow fort like around my whole body. And I still use my pregnancy pillow. So like when he's out of town, I just like, and I have to keep the kids out of my bed too.
Starfishing is one of my favorite activities, but I learned how to do it with James in the bed, and it was perfect.
How do you manage that?
Well, it started out with this pillow fort, and he used to make fun of me like so hardcore, and then he was like, "Wait a minute, I don't think we have enough pillows," and I'm like, "We have 6." But that was because I was using 5 of them, and he wanted some. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We found our way.
So
Brian sleeps through like anything, so it doesn't matter what I do, he'll stay asleep. So like sometimes I end up pushing him like to the very edge of the bed.
Yeah, my ex was not
I
like
just
that.
keep moving over and I keep moving over.
Yeah, you can't pair a snorer with an insomniac. It just it doesn't work out. Yeah. So when we started sleeping separately, I was like, this is what it could be like.
I know, and I'm a light sleeper too, so like breathing too hard. Like one time Ellington was in my bed and he kept sniffling. I had to kick him out. Like I couldn't sleep. I just every like 30 seconds is just I was like
well, I'm like looking at notes for other things. Like I watched this and I was telling Tanya that like my notes became more and more conversational. Well, first of all, I was like, let's say shout out to the editing on this because this shit is wild. And there are things that I just It's beautiful.
Incredible. The cinematography was
Yeah.
incredible.
And then I just like, I have like the thing like afterwards where Romeo's being a little snot and his mom and dad are like driving around looking for him. And he just like turns his back on them and walks away. And I was like, whew, I don't know what that's like. My parents would have yanked me by the hair. No, we did mention it a little bit, AK, but we can go back to that. And it's just like my note says, you little shit, they thought you might have been shot.
I know, right?
Like they thought you were dead. The mom's in the car, like, oh my God, my son is depressed. He's locking himself in rooms all day, and now he's not here. Like, did he get shot in this brawl? And he's just like, no, I talk to you. And then his dad is like, yeah, go talk to your cousin, because if I had to get out of the car, I'll beat his ass. And I just swore peace. Like, no. No.
What was he so depressed about though? Because this was like before, all the drama.
Because Rosaline,
he just like loved her and she didn't love him back, I guess.
It's not that. It's that she didn't give it up to him. He wanted the pumps and she was like, no. And it made him sad. But then I do have notes that says, it's like, oh, why then? Oh, brawling love. Oh, loving hate. Oh, anything of nothing first create. And I wrote bars. Because I love the writing. And it's just like, oh, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. See, AK? Exactly.
His dick was dry.
And he didn't like it. But yeah. And then he, like, I'm looking at the pool hall thing, and he's like, basically, whatever, was like, she won't let me smash, bruh, and I have blue balls. And then he was like, okay, she's going to the party. I'm going to go. Lovely, let's like seal the deal there.
I liked how Mercutio was like, hey, let's just do some drugs.
Mercutio!
He was so fun.
Although,
like, I can't say I'd party with Mercutio because, like, he's a little
because he peer pressures you into doing LSD and acid.
Not just that, but he gets a little too intense, like where he starts yelling and shit, and you're like, Mercutio, like, calm the fuck down, bro.
Drugs.
Well, yes, and then also when he's trying to get his attention and he's not listening, he just like fires his gun in the air. Like, you can't hang out with somebody like that all the time.
I have a question.
Yes.
And it never occurred to me until I watched it the time before this. Is Mercutio in love with Romeo, and that's why he's mad?
I don't think so.
No? Ayla?
I don't think so. I don't know. I hold my comment. I would want to watch it again and pay it.
Thank you, AK. AK and I, yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like at first, when I first watched him when I was younger, I thought he was giving bros over hoes vibes. But I think just like the way that Romeo was like ignoring him, and just when he talks about, well, first of all, wait, I'm looking here and it says, oh, Mercutio, who hurt you? After that speech where he's like going on because he's so insulted, he's like, oh, I had a dream. And Romeo's like, oh, fuck you for dreams. And he's like, but I had a dream too. And he's like, well, why can't my dreams be real if your dreams are? And I felt that, I felt that. But I feel like I think the vibe I got from it this time and the last time I watched it was like, I think that he loves him. I do.
I mean, I think he loves him, but I didn't think he loved him like that.
I thought the scene where Mercutio gets stabbed was revealing as fuck. Like, in terms of his dialogue and like the way that he portrays himself as a person and as a character, I thought that was the most revealing.
That's cracking jokes.
That's the shirt I actually wanted to wear today. I have a shirt with a knight and his arm is cut off and it says, "'Tis but a scratch." But I left it at my parents' house.
Yeah. If you look for me tomorrow, you'll find me a grave man.
Grave man. Yeah. I love that. I love that whole speech. And you know what? Every time I watch this, and and every once in a while I'll bust out my little Shakespeare book and I'll read the plays. But I always forget about Romeo and Juliet in particular, that there are so many phrases that we use every day that come from this play. I don't drink beer on the stream because I burp too much. Now I remember it and it'll be wine next time. But but like 'tis but a scratch or a rose by any other name would be just as sweet. And all of these things, a pox on both your houses, like all of these things come from this play. And I love that because you forget sometimes. Yeah. I love that they decided to do these drugs. But also my note here says, why did they let these boys back outside after all the trouble they caused? Why aren't they grounded?
Because they're rich. Because why aren't they in jail?
Yeah.
Because they're rich.
Because they're rich. They're from the two big families. So like, of course they got out.
I was reading a description of the movie and it said that
Wait, hold on a second. I'm sorry, Ayla. AK, did you want to join? I just saw your text. Because you can jump on.
Oh yeah, I'll email.
Tanya's gonna send you a link.
Whoops.
Sorry, go ahead, Ayla.
I spilled my cold liquid.
Oh, ooh, yum. Maybe Garvey would like to drink it.
I'm gonna have you babysit him, Ayla. You need to be punished.
But you know what'll happen? He'll be the perfect angel for her.
I know, right?
He and I are just gonna
no
do
shitty
all night and like
like you know those hobo clowns with the like dark beard. You know what I'm talking about? With the bindle. You know those clowns I'm talking about? Are you looking it up?
Yes. Ooh, Emma Kelly.
So yeah, you see that? That's what it was like, except it was shit. It was like all across here. It was just shit.
Oh God.
I wanted to cry. If I had been home alone with the kids, I would have cried. I absolutely would have cried.
Yeah.
And then I had to go around and like look to see like all the things he touched.
Well, you know, the payback is going to be over the next, like 20 years or whatever, as you and Radar laugh your asses off about this and embarrass the fuck out of him.
Like, yeah, let me tell you about the time your little boyfriend ate shit.
And I don't mean he fell on his face.
Right.
I said that to my sister one time when my nephew, I was watching my nephew and he kept running in between swings. I was like, no, he's 3. I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. And then he didn't listen. And he's like, this little girl was swinging, poof, knocked him in the face. He went face, boom, off the ground. And then I called her. I was like, yeah, so he ate shit. And she's like, where did he get it? And I'm like, oh no.
The other kind.
I was like, no, he fell on his face. And she's like, oh, what? And
when I said Garvey ate shit, I meant quite literally. He was like, oh, there's some shit. I should see what it tastes like.
You know what? I'm looking at all my other notes here. We haven't talked about Juliet yet. Maybe we should talk about her. We haven't really talked about Romeo, but like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's so funny because like I am looking at stuff like when he's like, here, take these drugs. Take these drugs. And I just wrote, you son of a bitch, I'm in, because of Rick and Morty. That's one of my favorite episodes. Hey, Kay.
What up, no?
What up?
Sorry, I get the water off the stream.
And it's so funny because like I love how Baz Luhrmann is just like, Romeo gets to this party, right? Yeah. Romeo gets to this party and he like, I don't know if you ever forgot that you drank before you came to a party and suddenly you're drunk once you get there. But that's what happened to him.
Like when you take an edible.
A what? What's that?
Like...
and it's just like all of a sudden, and you see it because he's like talking to his dad and then he's just like, and his dad is tripping, and then to like go through all that thing where he like plunges his face in the water and like the song starts playing, which I have remind me to ask you a question about that. And then he's just looking at the fish, because I don't know if you've ever been in an altered state of mind, but looking at fish is really calm and peaceful, right?
Actually, the part where he puts his face in the water and then it's like he suddenly remembers that his face is in the water. I've had a moment like that. Except it was alcohol related. I had been drinking the jungle juice, as they call it. If you remember jungle juice.
Jungle juice.
Yeah, and I must have blacked out. I must have blacked out because next thing I knew, there was just water being run on my face because some people carried me to a sink to try to revive me because they thought maybe I had died. And they thought, we'll
Wow.
revive her by
Wow.
putting her face in a sink. And
Ooh.
yeah,
Like a cowboy.
I like woke up in a sink. Yeah, I woke up in a sink, like water just
Wow.
that
That's
just
hilarious.
unlocked that memory I had buried.
That's so funny. And the reason I say is that, like, imagine that you're tripping balls and you're looking at a fish tank and then you see an eyeball. Like, how he didn't shit himself,
Screaming.
I do not know. And this scene honestly is one of my favorites in the movie because it's iconic, but their chemistry throughout the whole thing, it's like, sometimes you pair people together, just doesn't really like translate on screen, but they're magical together.
That scene was really sweet, and it's definitely a scene where the music helps a lot because I was falling in love with them.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, love. Oh.
Yeah.
Like I was getting all of my feelings.
Like, look at them. And then it's like really playful and flirty and innocent.
So they're like, let's get married tomorrow. And I was like, cool.
I mean, my thing was like, they're like right after the aquarium part, they run into the elevator and they're like making out, but yet like Paul Rudd, Paris, right?
Yeah,
Paris and her mom are like right there, and it's like, how did you guys not see that? Like 2 times.
Yeah, they cut it pretty close.
Pretty close. And then to still not know each other, like who
they
they
hadn't
are,
even exchanged
right?
Names.
They don't even know who they are.
How did they
or
not
that
know
they
who
belong to
they
the
were?
rival families?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think well,
you know
no
what? Social media.
Well, no social media, but also I think that women are very sheltered. Like
well,
I dated a guy and I didn't know he had a sister until like 4 years in, because she was kept at that's a whole story, because she was at home and they were very, very conservative, and she left the house for school and for work, and our paths never crossed. And then one day he's like, blah blah blah, my sister, and I was like, your sister? I'm known as 2 brothers for this amount of time too, but they never mentioned a sister. So yeah,
Interesting.
Imagine being shelters.
AK, do you believe in love at first sight?
You used to. If you
What
were speaking
changed?
to 19-year-old AK, she would have said yes. What changed? I am 42 now, and I am very jaded. Let's put it simply. That's pretty much it.
It happens. Real quick.
I mean, like,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, because it's not
I'm like
related.
I'm thinking of like very young me, like my high school sweetheart. That was love at first sight when I was 10 years old. But obviously, we didn't stay in love. So is it really?
Do you have to stay in love for it to be love at first sight?
I still love him like as a friend. I don't know.
Maybe that's a question.
That is actually a really good question. It's like the idea of like, well, what makes a marriage successful? That you stay together forever, or that, you get through this period and that was a great time and, you move on. Is it less successful because it didn't last?
Right.
So yeah, do you have to stay in love for it to be love at first sight? Because if that's the case, then I would have love at first sight when I was 10 years old.
Well, where does love go? I mean, in the situation where somebody passes away, like the narrative is like love doesn't, it doesn't go anywhere. It's still there.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
right. I mean, that's a huge reason why I don't really believe in the idea of like this one soulmate.
I don't believe in one soulmate either.
Because like, what happens if that person goes? Does that mean you can never again experience that?
You're just screwed, barren.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's just it's just weeds now.
Yeah.
It's weeds. Why weeds?
But yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Yeah. Does that? Yeah. What qualifies that? Because we talked about Mercutio dying real quick, I just want to skip ahead to a note because it's important.
Yes.
I think that like we see early on that Tybalt is like down to fight, right? And that he's
all the
good
time.
because he shot that guy from the car, like all these things that are happening. And then you get to learn in Mercutio's speech that he's a duelist, right? And my favorite line from that was like, he's the very butcher of a silk button. And I was like, damn, he's a marksman. But because he's the very butcher of a silk button, I was like, aw, Adolin would hate this.
Starlight reference.
You're welcome.
And there it is. There it is.
Gotta
You're
have one.
welcome.
Gotta have one.
Oh, I needed it. I wrote it down and I was like, sorry, we can go back to Juliet singing Let's Wait a While in the Pool.
Let's wait a while.
AK, your hat. I love it.
I have a thing with fedoras.
I'm surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't grab a quick lip.
Hmm.
You know what? I thought about it, but then I was like, yeah, I'm late. I don't know if I'm actually still going to be able to join. So, yeah,
Okay,
I was going to though. I did think about it.
You're good. You're good.
Mhm.
We don't judge you. You don't.
Why,
It's not lipstick isn't required.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When I first logged on, I thought that you had a hairpiece on, Tanya, because of the like
Oh, the
slight.
candles.
Yeah.
Oh,
That would have been cute.
that would
Yeah.
have been cute.
Yeah,
should
if I
get one.
did a do-over, I would totally wear all white. Like I could actually wear my wedding dress. I would put my wedding dress on and put a veil in my hair.
Aw.
Oh, now we're just gonna have to find a reason for you to
So-
do that.
For real.
Why did you say that?
I can't fit my wedding dress.
Oh, we love a theme.
I have my
Mhm.
veil.
Yes, you can wear a veil.
I'll wear my veil. I think
Perfect.
I have it's somewhere in here.
Oh, I'll find something. I'll just be
I have
I'll be your
a
maid of
white
honors.
shirt.
White shirt.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I can't fit my wedding dress.
Be
Not,
straight until the
not after Garvey.
Oh wait, I do still have a white dress. A
Huh?
white lacy one. Okay.
Would you say,
Okay.
Ayla?
You called him a shit monster.
Yeah.
Like call him shit
Harvey's
goblin.
hilarious.
I was calling him Dr. Shitstein all day.
He's gonna have so many good nicknames as he
Brian
Yeah.
calls him Dump Master Flex.
Dump Master Flex.
It's just like there's just so many shit related things where it's
Yeah.
like, bruh, like the first kid
Yeah.
makes it seem so easy. Like he took his diaper off and just shat on the floor once, and we had no idea. We're sitting in the living room, and he just comes strolling out, Winnie the Poohing it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And we go and
Garvey's
to go
antics be
pick
epic.
him up, and you see that clearly that the shit has been had.
Betrayal.
And we go in his room, and it's like he just like took his diaper off and just like shat on a blanket. It was a really nice dinosaur fleece
All right,
blanket.
then.
It went straight into the trash because I'm not washing it.
Understandable.
And
Hashtag mom
people like to be like,
problems.
sorry, I know this is like way off topic. We're supposed to be talking about love, but people like to. This is about love. People like
It
to
is
be like,
about love.
oh, when it's
Mhm.
your kid, it's not so bad. Yes, the
Bullshit.
fuck it is. Yes, it is. It is just as nasty. It is just as horrible. It's just that it becomes your responsibility and you have no choice.
Yeah, you can ask Jackie. I don't. Jackie has kids, and I'm totally capable. I've been changing kids' diapers like my whole life. But when her kids would come to me and like, smells like poop, and she's like, "Oh, Auntie Nick, do you want to change the diaper?" I'm like, "No, that sounds like some
No.
mommy shit."
I don't even want to do it. Sometimes I just pretend I didn't even notice it, and I'm like, "Go to your dad. Go to your dad. Go to your dad. Go to your dad." And then maybe he'll smell it.
Oh man, hilarious.
He doesn't watch our videos. I can say whatever I want. Yeah.
So funny.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
personally, on that topic and bridging it back to Romeo and Juliet, I thought that the GIF that I sent last night was perfect.
Pull it up.
What was the gif?
Oh, so Garvey got into some shit last night. You weren't part of that conversation.
Okay.
We
Literally.
were supposed to be watching the movie together, and all of a sudden I heard yelling. I just heard like yelling, like, oh no, oh God. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? And so like I was watching it in bed, and I jumped out of bed and I go running. I'm like, what happened? And he's holding him up with his arms up in the air like this, like holding him by the elbows. And Garvey's going like that. And I couldn't tell like what he was doing. And he was like, there's just shit everywhere. He got shit on everything. And I was like, what do you mean there's shit on everything? And I look and like down his side is just like completely shitty. Like his torso and the top of his thighs. He was in a onesie. It's like just completely shitty. So now I'm in panic mode because I'm like, what do I need to clean? So I got like the Clorox wipes and I'm like, what should I go to? And like their little table just was covered in shit. He rubbed his hands all over it. His high chair table, rubbed his hands all over that. So then I was running around the living room, like checking everything to see like what's under 3 feet to see what he could have put his hands on.
Everything.
And then he goes, look at his face. And he just had a whole shit beard. He had rubbed it all. It was drying.
Oh, I am so glad you didn't mention that last night.
It was drying.
The crustaceans.
It was a
Not
crusty hobo shit beard. And then Ayla sends me this gif, and it says, "Under love's heavy burden, do I sink?" Because I can't just put him outside.
well played, man.
No.
Well played.
I can't just
No.
put him outside. I want to.
You can't. Unfortunately.
Wow.
So yeah.
So
anyway.
Juliet wanted babies, I'm sure.
They probably would have had one immediately had
They
they
would have
made
had
it to
one,
their
yeah.
honeymoon. I mean, they got married the morning after they met.
You know,
Or the
it's not like
afternoon.
they just like smashed after he killed her cousin.
Yeah, how do you murder my cousin and then come over and smash? Like, that's crazy.
I really enjoyed the conflict and the way that she performed that, because she's like, here's my only love slayed by my only hate, or whatever it is she says. But it's just like, oh my God, I love this man so much and he's coming here and I can't wait. It's my wedding night, but he killed my cousin. And then in my head, I'm like, well, how much did you love Tybalt? Like, how close were y'all? Was he like,
It didn't seem like they were that close to me.
you know? And
Well,
then
we
I was
never
like,
put them together, so we don't really know.
yeah, we don't know if they were
True.
like, whatever. Like, obviously she was sad, but it's just like to see this, like, oh, I fucking hate you, and oh, I love you, but I hate you. I always thought that. So in West Side Story, the OG one, where Anita's like to Maria, she's like, a boy like that, he killed your brother, you know, because Tony kills Bernardo, right? And you see this other person coming in and being like, yo, what the fuck? How'd you love this person? He literally just killed your family member. And I feel like sometimes that was missing from this. I kind of wish that they had that, because it's just her with her thoughts. You know, like even the nurse didn't come back, or her nanny or whatever didn't come back and be like, hey, so on the news tonight, they said that your boo, like it was it. Yeah. Like, whew. I don't know. Would you have been able to smash afterwards? Were you let him smash?
A cousin I like? No.
We don't know if it was a cousin that we liked.
I mean, she mourned him, so we know she had to have had
For
some kind of
20
affection for him. Well, you know.
Because decorum required it of her. Yeah, but you don't know how close they were.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird thing. But I feel like
Yeah,
if
it's
you were
definitely awkward. Like,
Okay,
you
so-
still have like the gunpowder residue on your fingers when you come over to like finger me. After
I wasn't going to say it, but thank you. I was going to practice restraint and not go there, but
sorry.
this is why I
I'm
love
half
you.
a bottle of rosé in.
That's why I love hanging out with y'all. This drink's for you.
Finger blast takes on a whole other meaning now.
Like,
when you
there's
back-
still gunpowder residue.
Yikes.
Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So crazy. You know? Just, yeah, it's terrible. I just like, I'm really, I don't know, we're not really talking about her, but like, I think that the tragedy, well, besides the obvious lover one, is that like in the beginning, Benvolio's like, listen, we shouldn't be doing this fight. I'm just trying to keep the peace, right?
Mhm.
And then the father, Popsy Capulet is like, hey, no, not in my house. this is my house. Don't start this trouble. And then Mercutio was like, listen, I don't want anything with you. I'm just trying to find this one dude. Like, no. I'm not trying to beef with you guys. Not Mercutio, sorry. Tybalt's like, listen, Mercutio, I didn't come for you. I came for Romeo. Where the fuck is Romeo? You know, because he's trying to like he's trying to have restraint. Because now he realizes like if something happens, my uncle is gonna die. So like let's just have a good old fashioned
Make it worth it.
You know,
Tybalt's
let's
a
do it.
hothead.
He is. But the thing about this thing, I think,
feels like I can't watch my boy get punked like this either.
Yeah. But I think the whole thing is like there is restraint until there isn't. And when there isn't, like everything just goes fucking wrong.
Flames.
Everything. It's so terrible.
So one of the changes that I found interesting, and because it's like really like let's dial up the tragedy a notch. In the play, they don't have that moment where they're both alive.
Yeah.
Like he dies first, and then she wakes up and sees his dead body, and she kills herself. But in this, they had to have him like just pour the poison in his mouth as she decides to stroke his face, just to like up the tragedy factor a little bit.
It's a brilliant move.
Where it's too late, and now
too late, baby. Now it's too late. We really did try to make it.
They really did try to make it.
Every time I watch it, I have this moment where I'm like, just look at her hand. Look, she's moving.
Look, her eyes fluttered.
That was another spot of brilliance, I think, because every time his eyesight went to a different direction, that's when that part of her body moved. Like when he looked down at her hands, her head started moving, and then when he looked back up, her fingers started twitching. Like that was a brilliant way to shoot it like that.
And she had already started blinking like before he took the poison.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like if you would have just taken one more second to look down again, then
just like had a monologue that was just a tiny bit longer.
You know what? I've always taken issue with the fact that her death was so much more violent than his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
he took the poison, but she, in the movie, she shoots herself, and then in the movie,
she stabs herself, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, she didn't have any other methods available.
I know, but like, I don't know what I would. I mean, I wouldn't have killed myself. I would have been like, I would have just cried a lot, I just, and then I would have married Paris because that's what my parents wanted me, because I would just be distraught and like, okay, now everybody can make decisions for me because I don't care. But yeah, I always wanted, I don't know. It's just, did I want her to also be poisoned? I don't know. Like, what would have happened?
I wish he had been like, ah!
I mean, would that have helped though? Because it's pretty fast.
The way the apothecary described that poison. No, vomiting it out wouldn't have helped. Once it
it was like sublingual boom.
Yeah. Like as soon as it hits flesh,
Oof. Yeah, that's so funny.
That's harsh though. But I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Wasn't the priest like supposed to get him a message, but he didn't get the message out in time?
Didn't get the message
so
out.
Romeo knew what was going on.
Exactly. Right. That's what
happened. The delivery guy
wasn't
able to get the message to him,
which I loved as a modern twist. But I'm glad you said that, because I was like, Father Homie Priest here.
Terrible plan.
Like come on, bro. How did you really think this was going to work out?
And then run away. Well, no one will wonder where the body went.
Yeah. It's like at one hand, like in the very beginning, he's just like, oh, you know what? This is a great move. Let me do this. Cause like I don't know if it was for personal glory to be like, I'm going to unite these houses because now they're not going to fight, because, that's how wars were solved, right? You marry this princess or queen to this king, and now you guys are both allies because you're
squashed.
Exactly. Right. We see this happen. But then for it to go wrong in the way it did, and for him to like, I think it's so funny because when Romeo first comes from him, he's like, why are you always in trouble? Trouble loves you. It follows you everywhere you go. And then you have then you're an idiot because you don't even see how lucky you are.
And none of them have jobs.
No, they're rich.
They just be chilling all
They
day, just
literally
shooting at
ride
each
around
other.
town
His
all
job is
day,
to be his dad when his dad
causing
dies.
problems.
Well, I was wondering because I read one description of the movie that said that both families were organized crime families, and I was like, "Well,
I don't remember.
I read
didn't
it.
get that
I was
vibe.
like, I didn't
mean,
get
for
that
the
vibe
for
either.
the movie.
Yeah, I
I
just
got it as like they're just both like rich families, like some
Yeah,
type of industry
like
or something.
exactly industry
Yeah.
tycoons. Like one had
And
like
they're
advertising and one had
But like I
steel.
didn't think they were organized
Yeah.
crime because I felt like one of the things that the movie very clearly portrayed was this was just like a violent society, period. I mean,
Because of them,
the
though.
party had a gun check.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it was
And
You know what I
also
mean?
in
Like-
the
beef.
beginning of the movie where they're zooming into the city, they have these two buildings. One says Montague, one says Capulet. So
Right.
they're
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
I got the impression that this was just a violent society in general. Like people just have guns. Because like Juliet has a gun. She shows up
Yeah.
And this
to
bitch was
the
about
fryer and is like in her like schoolgirl outfit ready to blow her fucking brains out, which is such a jarring visual. With her little
totally.
cap and her collar, and then just like her
Such
gloves,
a cute outfit.
the little gloves on, and then she has a gun to her head. You know, I long to die. It was like, oh my god, girl,
Right. This is
calm
right
down,
after
cool your pants.
the fiance that is Ant-Man. So happy
Yeah,
about
right. She
marrying
gets
her.
betrothed to Ant-Man.
Right. And he I guess is too naive to see that, yeah, she's not down, bro. She does
No,
not
it
like
doesn't
you.
matter to him. This is social climbing for him.
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah.
He
Because
recognizes
I
the
think
good
Paris is like the governor's son or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember what his exact station is, but he would have to be like on that level for
Mhm.
her
Looking
to
it up
even
right now.
agree to
Yeah,
marry
he's
her.
marrying up.
And I think he had to ask like a few times too, because like he was trying to negotiate this since the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and Mr. Capulet was like, I like how they gave him first and last names in the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But Pops Capulet was like, nah, she's too young. Wait 2
Right.
years.
He was like, well, as I told you before.
As I told you before.
Yeah.
And
Like,
again,
bro,
and again,
stop
and again.
asking.
Yeah. Yeah. that
Okay,
shit was
Paris
wild.
is a relative of the prince as well.
Mm.
Oh,
Interesting.
so Paris and Mercutio are related.
So why isn't he crying and pushing a wedding? Pushing this wedding.
Maybe he doesn't like the black side of his family.
That is literally what was just going in my head. I just didn't want to
He's
say
like, oh, finally that guy's gone.
Yep.
Happy Black History Month.
It's
Happy
almost
Black
like
History Month.
what was that movie that just came out? Was it Saltburn? You guys seen that yet?
Yes.
It gave me that type of vibe.
Ayla, have you seen it?
Have you seen Saltburn?
No? Okay.
We won't talk about it yet then.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah.
I'll just say that I'm deeply disturbed.
It was a disturbing. It was disturbing.
I enjoyed
what's his name? Drew. No, I liked it. Definitely liked it. But yeah, Druig was a little bit extra. And I'm calling him that because it's the same guy that was in the Eternals.
Yeah,
That
Eternals.
was his character.
Yeah. Whew. You know what
Yeah.
also struck me about this movie is as I'm watching it now, like from 96 until now, I was just like, oh my God, if I didn't know better, it gives such Tarantino vibes now, which it didn't before.
Not enough
Right?
foot
Yeah.
shots.
He does like a good foot, doesn't he? He does.
He does.
Yes.
Yeah, but it reminded me very much of like a lot of the things that have come after from him.
It's almost now that you say that, it's giving me like a Death Proof vibe a little bit. Because they had that weird serial killer that was going around taking out like groups of chicks sometimes. Until he ran up on Tracy Thompson, Zoe Bell, and they were like, yeah, not today, bruh.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that scene. It was great.
Clear. Whew, man, what a tragedy. But you know what? Something that we haven't. There were a couple people whose lines, when they were delivering it, it like brought me back into the fact that like Shakespeare is not their first language. But so many of the other, like all the adult actors, I was just like, oh my God, you guys nailed it. And it didn't feel like it was like it was out of time or out of place. And something I actually did yesterday, I was like, sometimes I watch movies with subtitles on, but for this, I watched it with the subtitles on, and I would play it, and then I would stop it. Like I'd read it because I can't do the two things. I'd read it, and then I'd pause it, and then I'd rewind and go back and watch it, and I'd be like, oh, this is so good. Oh, Shakespeare.
It hits. I feel like it hits differently now watching it with, you know, having adult and world experience now. As of like 96, I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it back then, but now that I can like really analyze what's going on, it was such a great movie.
Yeah.
Like to put Shakespeare to that tune. Everyone's remaking all the Disney movies in live action. Stop that. Go back and do this.
Do
more of
Shakespeare.
this.
I would love to see King Lear or Macbeth.
I would love
or
for
Hamlet.
To create like a Shakespearean universe, like to do more films like this, because it was like creating, because what I had said earlier about like kind of like being a little disoriented while rewatching this movie and not remembering being that way when I was 8, because I was 8.
Right.
I think there's a huge like space here, and also probably a huge audience to create a Shakespearean universe like in this style.
If it's done the right way, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically just have Baz Luhrmann do all of them.
I would vote that.
I mean, or they could call us, because like,
you know what?
Like we could put that together pretty well.
I would love a Guillermo del Toro Macbeth or Hamlet. Yeah.
I like that.
Macbeth, I'm 100%.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I see my weird ass brain though. I would want that mixed with a bit of Gargoyles, because Gargoyles had a very heavy Macbeth plot line interwoven into it, and yeah, that is going to be a story at some point in time now. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and make a note of that.
I was going to say, write that down. Don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah, I was totally bugging Nikki's ear earlier today talking about my Game of Thrones fanfic that I'm working on. Why don't I have a pen?
Ayla, have you read Game of Thrones? You read the books? If you're interested.
Oh man!
Is it something that's?
Did you see how all three of us just look like? Wait a minute, huh?
Wait, no. But I have to ask first, because not everybody's into the world. So I'm not. I don't judge people when they say I haven't seen it, unless they're the type of person who says I didn't watch it because it was popular. So, if it's something that you think that you would enjoy, because Steve also is watching or going to watch, and we're gonna do maybe season by season with him. So if you'd like to, by all means, let us know. We're happy to rewatch anytime. But also the reason I bring it up is because if you have Spotify Premium, no plugs for them, you can listen to the whole audiobook for free.
Oh yeah, I thought I had Spotify Premium, but when I clicked on the link you sent me, it was like, yeah, purchase it here. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like I also totally have like the audio that I can just
I have the audiobook too, but like now it's on. Oh yeah. Yeah, send it.
Well, on that note, I was gonna say, like, I wanna read the books before I watch the show.
Would you like to borrow them?
Actually, I'm pretty sure I have them in a box, like right next to me.
Good.
Because James had them all. Yeah. But the audiobook is probably a better shout, because it's gonna take me way longer to read them as opposed to if I was listening to it.
It was a dedicated year of my life. It took a year of my life to read all the books, because that's all I read and it's all I could read. And after that, I didn't read any fantasy or fiction for a year.
That was like how we became friends. I found out she liked the show and I was like, have you read the books? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh. And then she started reading them, and then it turned into us meeting in the park.
Yeah, we used to, because I would text her about it. She was like, well, do you want to meet? And I just go meet on our breaks. We'd just go meet in the park and talk
at Brighton Park.
That's because
me cake.
Because I did, Trevor. Thanks. I'll tell you about it later. But we used to, because Tanya started a book club on Facebook, a Game of Thrones reading book club, and we started meeting up because like we were gonna do it chapter by chapter, and I was the only one commenting, and then I read ahead because I was like, oh, what the fuck, why is everyone else taking so long? And then I was like either 6 or 10 chapters in, and Tanya was like, let's just meet and talk about this on our own. And I swear to God, probably nobody else from that group has ever finished the books.
No.
Like not the first one.
It stopped being a thing very quickly.
Yeah.
Which is so absurd because that's such a great world to talk about.
It
and
really
also,
is.
I think I remember you telling me that story, Nikki, when we did was it my birthday stream? No, Tanya was on the birthday stream. It was the New Year's countdown stream.
Oh God,
that we did a couple years ago.
It
It was a night.
That was a night,
but it was fun.
It was a lot of I had a great time. Yeah. So Ayla, read it. I recommend it because the writing is tasty. People often get overwhelmed because there's just so many names to remember. And there are names that he will go into details about that you just never meet again. But like the writing is beautiful and the world is amazing and just so well thought out. And
the history of that, the history and lore, I think are probably the biggest things that I have studied from that universe because it's so rich. Like I honestly love hearing all about the history more than the actual main plot points that are covered in the books. I think it's great. And also, Ayla, when you do listen to it, can you let us know your feelings on Roy Dotrice talking about random sex scenes and other things? Because it's just very hilarious to hear an old man talk about Tyrion kissing lips. Just
I think when I listen to it or read it, I'm just gonna have to have like a dedicated group chat and like
we are here.
Please do.
I'm here for it.
We second, third, and fourth that motion.
Like actually, Steven messaged me a couple, I don't know, whenever you guys were talking about it and asked if I'd ever seen it. And I told him I wanted to read it first. I forgot what he said.
Yeah. Well, we are here for both.
Facts.
Yeah, we're here for both because like Tanya told me that there were books and I was like, oh shit, this is probably like season 5 or something. And so then I read all of them before season 6 started.
Random thought, and you can cut it off because I know you guys usually only do like an hour.
I know.
Wait, you know what? Okay, hold that thought.
Yes,
we will cut off and we'll go offline. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Who's got shit to plug?
I got some things.
His butt. Halo, why?
I love a callback.
Toast to that.
I love a callback.
Okay, so Friday evening I will be running a Jackbox session of gaming on Citadel Trivia channel. Feel free to stop by.
Is there a theme?
I need to be reminded. I always forget.
Yeah, I will likely plug it on Insta and on Twitter because I refuse to call that thing what it's supposed to be called now.
It's Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So and I'll probably post it on Facebook too, just because. If you've never done any Jackbox games, it's very simple to participate. Stop over and we'll show you all about it. We'll probably end up being mostly murder trivia because I love trivia and the murder trivia is hilarious in the way they ask the questions. Next Tuesday, is it Tuesday? Thursday, actually, this coming Thursday in a couple days, I'll be on with DJ11 and Fandom, and we're going to be talking about the Marvels movie. So if you're a Marvel fan,
I need to
come
watch
through. Go watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Go watch it. I thought it was good. DJ has other opinions, and me and Fandom will probably be fighting him when we talk about it. Coming up, I don't know exactly what days we're gonna do it just yet, but there's an Interview with Vampire season 2 is coming up.
Oh yeah, that's
when does that drop?
The 22nd, I want to say. No, I think it's this month.
February?
Yeah, the
22nd. March.
The 22nd is Avatar: The Last Airbender 2, which I cannot wait for.
Oh wait, no, I may be mixing those up. Yeah, that's right, because you had messaged me about
it's on Netflix. Yeah,
right. So we're gonna be covering Avatar. It's gonna be me, Meeks, hopefully Lady D will be able to join
March
us,
12th.
and Nikki will be joining us with that too. Okay, March
Yeah.
12th. I will make a note
March
of that.
12th.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll definitely be covering Interview with the Vampire. It's such a great show. If you haven't watched season 1, please go check it out. It's freaking great. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, Grey Worm, one of the awesomest characters in Game of Thrones is
the messiest bitch in New Orleans.
Messy as hell, and I love it.
Oh my god, so good.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody checking those things out.
Yeah, so we got some things coming up, and also real thing that I'm very, very excited about. A while back, it's been about 5 years, I was working with the channel The Walking Bread, and we were going through making the motion comics for all of the Walking Dead comic series, and I started voicing Michonne as of issue 52, and the boys are starting back up again. Actually, Ella and Nikki in our writers group chat, I posted that. If you're interested in any voice acting, hit them up. Click that link.
Okay.
I will put in a good word for you.
Okay.
I don't know what characters are available right now, but if you want to be, there's lots of zombies to voice. So yeah, look out for that. That'll be on the Walking Bread channel. Josh and Alex are some very awesome dudes, and I've also submitted my application for some other voice work on Psycho Cat channel. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we got some things going on, and also I am just over 100 hours of watch time away from being able to monetize my channel.
So please,
fingers crossed, Tanya. So Tanya won't bully me anymore on my streams about monetizing my channel. Yes, you.
So what this means is that go to AK's playlist and play the Halloween spooky season by the right set and the Christmas stories by the right set, and just let that play. Just let it
please. And thank you. You don't even have to listen to it if you don't like scary stories.
No,
put it on mute. When you go to bed, plug in your charger and just click play on the playlist.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Indeed. we doing things out here this year.
Things.
So let's get her done.
Well, hair in my mouth. Speaking of March 12th, March 12th, we have a 32sDays for a movie that Tanya and I have never seen.
We do.
Called, March 12th.
Leave the World Behind. I watched it.
Oh, did you watch it?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I haven't watched it. Where did you watch it?
I watched it last week.
Is it good?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Netflix?
I have heard all of the things about it, and it very much piqued my conspiracy theory nerd. So I'm very into that. I will definitely be in the chat for that one.
Yes, that's March 12th. And then on March 10th, we have Wine on an Empty Stomach Book Club. This month, for that month, because it is Women's History Month and St. Patrick's Day, which is one of my faves, we are doing an Irish woman author, and her name is Deirdre Sullivan, and we will be reading Savage Her Reply. Yes. Savage Her Reply, which is a villain POV book, kind of like along the lines of like Cersei, if you guys have read that. But it's the villain POV of an Irish myth / legend called Children of Lear, where this woman she marries a king. Well, synopsis real quick, right? So in the myth, this woman marries a king. She's a ward like Theon, right? Parents got snatched from the parents, and this king has her and his sisters as foster daughters. Other king from a neighboring thing says, yo, I need a wife. And so he sends her sister. Sister gets married. She's got twins. And then she has 2 more twins before she's really ready to have twins, and she dies in childbirth. So her next sister, Aoife, it's Gaelic, so my bad. Aoife, she marries him. But what she finds is that she is so insecure and so jealous of the relationship between the kids and the father and the kids that she feels left out because she was loved for a little while and, she didn't get enough of it. So she gets jealous and turns them into swans. She curses them to be swans for 900 years, living at 3 different locations for 300 years each. And that's in the myth where her story ends. But that's not where it ends in her POV. So that's what we're checking out. Yeah. And what I love about it so far is that throughout the whole book, she's like, listen, I'm not a good person.
I respect when
She's
villains.
like, I am not a
Yeah.
good person. I wish
I
I was.
respect when villains own their shit.
Yeah.
I like that.
She keeps it real. So that's what we're doing on March 10th. If you want to read the book, it's not at your local library. Probably not. It wasn't at any of ours. I had to order books for me and Tanya to be able to read it. So visit your favorite bookseller or, secondhand bookshop, because it is a great story and it's like under 300 pages. So cheers to Irish authors.
Nice.
Well,
All right.
Here.
All right.
Ayla, don't sign off.
Yeah, don't log off. I will
Yeah.
end the stream. That's it for 32sDays. We went over time. It happens. Whatever.
Often.
Only recently.
Only recently.
Only recently.
You gotta pick something that we don't like talking about so much, I guess.
I think people like hearing y'all for more than an hour.
I don't know. I like to keep it neat.
I mean, maybe consider,
Like our bourbon
I mean, I think we only went over because we started talking about Garvey's ass
in Game of Thrones. It would have
I
been
mean,
a tight
I feel like
otherwise.
those are two things that are
that take up time.
Extra time. Man.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It's just, I had to share my horror.
I understand. And also, Garvey's my dude, and I stand him and all of his shenanigans.
Well, he's yelling in the other room. I don't know if you can hear him.
There was
all
a correlation. We tied it back in.
Yeah.
Yep, see, right, there you go. See, exactly.
Throw that in nicely.
All right. Well, that is the end of 32sDays. You ladies stay on. And so yeah, check us out.
We will get off.
Get off.
But
good night.
Bye.